Hey,
Hey,
how
how
are
are you?
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay, doing okay. I think I'm gonna close this.
So we ended up getting
Oh,
11 people.
yay!
Yeah,
That's great.
I think it's pretty good for a middle of the day holiday
Totally.
season. Yeah. So hopefully they all
And
show
I
up.
think and I think the recording will be great. I'm sure we can, use the clips for a lot of different things, which will be awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
hold on a sec. Chrissy, I put the gift cards there. Okay. And the Dave mentioned is Dave Henry's because Dave Hunter, I'm giving him his bonus through payroll. Okay, so this is Dave. Yep, so okay, it's Linda, Dave, Melissa, I've got the Amex, so they're all tagged, and then there's the sheet if you need. Okay. It's Christmas card gift time. But so
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm excited. I think it'll go well.
Yeah.
Is it Aimee Yawnick? Is that how you
Mhm.
say her name?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm pretty sure how I pronounced it. And then yeah, I think just also I think at the end I forgot to make a comment. Maybe you can just tee up like last comments for panelists and then how to get in touch with you. Or like
Okay.
what's the best way if folks from the audience want to ask more questions.
Yeah.
But I think that like based on the emails that I've sent out, so the paperless post was like a lot of people opened it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people actually didn't like, they were like, oh, I'm out of town. Didn't really realize that it was online. Okay, Amy's here, so we can clarify her name. And then a lot of like for the remainder of the email follow-up, it was like 40 or 50% open rate, which was great. But I think
Wow.
most of the attendees came from social media posts, not
Yeah.
emails, which is really interesting.
I'm putting word out to Disrupt Media. Hi, Amy. I'm Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Is
to
your
meet
last
you.
name pronounced Yonick?
It is.
Perfect. Just making sure because I got Rigtrup. It's I fell in love before I heard
My
it.
maiden name was Lesberg, so I didn't get anything easier.
I was Silva, which in Portuguese is like Smith.
Oh.
Went to Rigtrup, and then years later, my cousin married a Heffelfinger, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Here you go!" Like I'm passing the baton.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
funny.
that's funny.
But I was saying I'm gonna put out feelers to Distro Media and some marketing people I know to see if there's a way to do a multi-panel discussion like this on Facebook Live or TikTok Live.
Cool.
Because that'd be, I think, removing the need to submit anything and get a link, and you know what I mean? I think
Totally.
that would be, I know how to do live stuff, alone, but I don't know if how you'd go about doing Zoom or this kind of platform.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah. I'm
I
also
don't
gonna
really.
be trying to jump live every Friday just to, hop on, talk for a couple of minutes, and if people want to ask questions, they can. I don't
That's
know. I'm gonna see
awesome.
how. Yeah, I figure I
And
can pull that
How
off.
many
every day.
attendees do we have today?
so 11 people signed up. I hope,
Huh.
yeah, I hope they all show up. I know it's middle of the day and the holidays.
You never know.
Never know. I sent reminders, so hopefully folks do. We do have one a woman named Ashley in the waiting room. But what Aimee was saying is that with this recording, we can repost on social media and stuff. So even if
Yeah.
folks don't make it, we can still repurpose and get it to a bigger audience.
Excellent.
I just hopped on and made like a last minute video. And I realized I was like, submit your form before 1:30. But I meant to say 12:30. So we'll see how that goes.
It's okay. I'll keep the form up in case.
But if people pop on,
Yeah.
what I get for last minute things. But yeah, it should be good. It should be
I
good.
think
I'm
so.
excited.
Are we waiting for somebody else?
Yeah, the other panelist is attorney Joe DeMello. He should be hopping on soon, I hope. I know he knows about it. He was emailing a little bit ago. He's known my mom and my family forever. He's really great.
Is he your family's estate planner?
My family works with either so many random people or nothing at all. So I just started working with a financial planner and realized like now I own property. I need to start. I'm only 44,
Yes.
but I need to start getting things in order now that I have things to secure.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy how fast the seasons of life change.
Yeah. Well, and
This
actually I was
is-
talking with one lawyer, kind of networking about a month ago, and we were talking about all these online companies, you know, like LegalZoom and all these online resources for making trusts and wills. And she said they're great, but what people forget is that you need to, as as your wealth and as your finances change, you also need to like update these
Adapt.
documents. And with some of these online platforms, they just kind of stay stagnant and people don't think that they need to actually update. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
I think they're better than nothing,
Yeah.
but they're not, I don't think they're the best choice.
they
Yeah.
don't replace.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Ashley in the waiting room might be Joe.
Oh,
I'm just thinking my Zoom days during COVID, there were sometimes people signed on in Zoom as other than themselves.
I don't think so because this email ID signed up.
Is on the list. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's amcouto88@gmail. So I think she jumped on at like 9:30 my time. So right after I sent the email.
She's determined to be on. That's kind of smart. Like
Great.
leave it open on a tab.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, yeah, I joked to my husband 2 weeks ago about the dynamic in my life that whenever I make big plans, like death has things to say. So I have to rush after this and go to my best friend's grandfather's funeral.
Oh.
She called me over the weekend and I was like trying to help her. She's going through my dad's funeral home in Fall River. And I was like secretly pushing them to do it later in the day Wednesday. I was like, ooh, like if we're not going to church or the cemetery, it's great to do evening or early evening.
Early afternoon, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, please.
Oh
So,
no, yeah. Aimee just dropped. Or Ashley. So maybe she'll come back. If not, I'll ping her directly.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once Joe's on, we can kind of let anyone
People
else in.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure he gets in okay. Yeah, I'm excited.
And where are you located, Aimee?
I'm in Taunton, so I'm a little south of you.
Oh, okay.
But not too south. We randomly like, I have pre-arrangements for people all over the state, like Pembroke. I just did one in Danvers, Canton. For some reason, we deal with like Stoughton, Canton area a lot. Oh, here's the.
I grew up in Sharon.
Okay, so
I
you're
know.
right in the middle. Of
I know
all of
the
it.
area. Yeah.
Yes. It's a lot of fun driving everywhere. Rainham is being hit by the traffic from Rhode Island going down. Everyone's taking the 44 exit to use 44 to cut over into Providence. It's going to be a mess for a couple months. My sister works at RISD. She was in the car for 5.5 hours yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Ouch.
No fun. I'm really scared though for people that need to get to Rhode Island Hospital and Women and Infants and Hasbro.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But supposedly the governor is taking suggestions. They're working on solutions for emergency vehicles. And I think they're hoping to both stop the construction on the Newport Bridge and take the toll away, which would be great. Hi, Attorney DeMello. Hi, Joe.
Let's see. I'm muted now.
Hey.
Good. My wife likes me when I'm muted. You know, I don't know why, because I try to be quiet, but in any event, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Aimee, how are you?
Rose, did I freeze?
I'm well.
Hey, I'm good.
There's two Amies here.
I froze.
Oh, okay. Aimee R. Yeah, you're talking about the my assistant comes from Providence to Taunton every day, so it was hell yesterday. But yeah, I think also at the beginning it's tough, just like Boston. And when they close up a lane, after they do, it's a little better. So
what are they doing?
Okay. Huh?
What's the commotion? What are they doing?
There's a bridge closed over the George Washington, the bridge, the main Route 195 is the main highway from Rhode Island, Providence to Massachusetts. It's really the only highway as far as the South Coast area. So they discovered a defect and they unexpectedly closed the bridge in 2 lanes of it. So it's a 4-lane bridge. So, but it's funny to see them deflect blame. They knew it was bad for 2 years and they had a plan, but they didn't have a plan yet. Hello. I mean, we know the infrastructure repairs are underfunded, but come on, take some heat.
This is big time.
Take some
Totally.
heat. Yeah, but that's what we
It'll
got.
be
So
interesting.
so how are we gonna proceed here? What are the is it gonna be call-in topics? How is it gonna be? What's the plan? Do you know?
We'll start. I was going to start by introducing each of you, letting everyone, kind of say a few words about what you do. And then I was going to go to the questions that we were emailed. I believe there's 5 of them. And then we're going to end with questions and answers.
Okay.
And then at the end, when I feel like that's ending, we'll do kind of last comments. You can each, say some final comments and also end with how to best get in touch with you if you want to share your email, your phone number, all of the above. And then we'll be good. And this is being recorded, so we'll all have a recording of this that you're all free to use for marketing. Like my team is going to make clips from this video for informational stuff and other uses on social media or email. So you're all invited to do the same.
Sounds good. That's fine. Well, it should be fine. Sarah, you don't know me at all, right?
I don't know you at all, but I know of you and I've read about you.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I just didn't know if you had any questions, but other than that.
No, I mean, I think just thank you both for your time. I know that Aimee and I are excited to test this out. We have 11 folks that replied they would like to join. We'll see if they show up. We'll probably give them a few minutes at the beginning to come on in. And so we can kind of do the small talk during that buffer time. But if not, as Aimee said, hoping to reach audiences online and in other channels with the recording. So even if the attendee list is low, it's still time well spent.
I'm just looking, okay. I'm looking at the chat, but there was no one on there. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
good
So
to have that.
we do have two people in the waiting room. So Amy, when you're ready, I'll let them in. And then you can kind of direct traffic.
Yeah. Should I wait to do the official kind of start? Just kind of, I don't know. I didn't think
You could
about that dynamic as people were coming in.
we could do an abbreviated start, and then you could just say, welcome. This is what we'll cover today. We'll go through attendees or panelists. And we can just ask them where they're dialing in from and that sort of thing. And then
Okay.
at like 1:05, we can just get going, or 1:03 even. Whatever you're comfortable with. And I'll manage the waiting room. I'll also send kind of a reminder email maybe in 3 minutes to folks just saying we're starting.
Okay.
I think everybody should see Amy right now on the spotlight, right? And then everyone else is in the top bar. Is that how you're seeing?
No.
I think it
my-
depends on your view.
Right.
I'm
Okay.
seeing the gallery view.
I have gallery too, so I can see all of you.
Right, I see all of us at the same time.
Okay, so yeah, so then Amy, if you want to recommend people to change their view, they can, but it's up. I'm recording it this way, so I tried to
Yeah,
make
and I'll
it.
let people know.
Okay, cool. I'll let them in.
Alright. You guys are ready. Let's
Yeah,
chat.
ready to roll.
Hello, we have some people joining us. We are going to have kind of a casual start while we wait for some more people to hop on. My name's Amy. I am Amy Silva Rigtrup, funeral director and co-owner of Silva Funeral Home in Taunton, Mass. And I'm here with Sarah Nemu. Here we go, informal. I'm here with Sarah Powers from Nemu, the wonderful app. I'm also here with Aimee Yawnick and attorney Joe DeMello, and the four of us, we are going to chat about navigating future planning and getting things in place, figuring out things you might not have needed to know that you needed to do until now. So that's our takeaway for today. But welcome everyone that has joined so far. I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping for anyone that might not be on Zoom a lot. In the upper right corner is a view button, and you are welcome to toggle between, I think most default to gallery, where you can see a little square like the Brady Bunch of all of us, or you could switch to speaker. And what that will do is kind of highlight whoever is speaking in the moment and kind of put everyone else to the side. So that is there on the top right. In the bottom, there is a chat button, and you can have the chat feature up if you're not comfortable speaking to us directly through the video and the microphone. You are more than welcome to type in the chat if you have any questions or comments. No pressure. We're hoping to not put anyone on the spot today besides ourselves, and we'll see how this goes. I'll wait to do our full formal introduction. But I figure Amy and Sarah and Joe, if you want to just kind of say a quick hello, that'd be great.
Hello to everyone and a beautiful afternoon, sunny here in southeastern Massachusetts, but a bit cold, but less than a week before Santa Claus comes to all the good people. No, a little bit more than a week. So that's a good fun time for kids, and should be a fun time for everybody, I would think, hopefully.
Well,
Absolutely.
in my neck of the woods, it's not always a fun time. There's some awareness that I feel like we need to consider with people who are grieving. And this time of year is really hard when, maybe it's the first time that you're celebrating the holidays, experiencing the holidays without someone that you love. Or it's the anniversary, or you're just missing someone who is usually around the table. So it's not always a happy, joyful, merry time of year. And I think we can have both. We can have the celebration, but we also want to make room for those who are not experiencing lots of joy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amy and Attorney DeMello. Really excited to be here and have folks joining us and share our thoughts from across the industry. And I'm dialing in from Seattle, Washington. My husband and I recently moved out here, but we had lived in Massachusetts before, which I think a lot of folks are dialing or zooming in from. So I envy the cold winters. I actually miss them. So I'm thinking of you guys back east.
Yeah,
You have
your
rain now.
winters must be wet.
Yeah, we've been really wet, and my daughter would rather see some snow than all the rain.
Absolutely, 100%. Here in Mass, the elephant in the room is everyone pretty much in our area and in Rhode Island is being affected by the Washington Bridge being mostly shut down. So I also want to give out grief. I mean, we're handling grief with that on
Yeah.
a different level. I mean, it's affecting people's commute, access to hospitals, access to each other, to services they need, family members. My heart goes out to everyone that is affected by this in so many different ways. So I think we have a couple more people on, and I wanted to also let everyone know this is going to be recorded and reshared. So if anyone hops on late or misses us live, to be able to join in, you will have access to watch this video and everything we talk about. And we will also share everyone on the panel's contact information so you can reach us all for further questions. So I'm thinking we'll get started. It's about 1:06. The sun's out. Why not? So I am Amy Silva-Rigtrup, like I said. I am the co-owner and funeral director at Silva Funeral Home here in Taunton, Massachusetts. I'm a fifth-generation Silva family funeral director. Grew up in the funeral home, and it's been my passion and life's calling since I've been licensed in 2005. So I am very happy to and honored to be able to help people through both tragic times, but also part of my specialty is helping people ahead of time, which doesn't have to be as pressure filled and emotional. It actually helps things and can even include humor and some personalization. So I'm happy to help people before, during, and after any type of loss that they're dealing with. And I am honored to be moderating this today, joined by an amazing panel of people. So with me, I have Sarah Powers from NEMU. I have Aimee Yawnick, who is a certified conscious dying coach, and more. I'm going to let everyone expand on their bios. And attorney Joseph DeMello, who I've known since I've been very young and has known my family for a long time. So please welcome everybody. And I'm going to go around and let everyone introduce themselves a little bit further. Attorney DeMello, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Well, I'm an attorney for 37 years, practicing all range of law, but last 20 years I've dedicated myself to a lot of estate planning, protection of assets, and things of that nature. I have 3 offices, one in Taunton, Fall River, New Bedford. I am also fluent in Portuguese language, which is special here in southeastern Massachusetts. So I'm glad I've been blessed to be able to help many people in resolving their issues. So thanks for having me on. Hope we have some good questions, and I'm glad to help you navigate the legal course.
Absolutely, it's very important. Sarah, why don't you go next?
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Powers, and I'm the founder of NEMU. NEMU helps families manage and divide heirlooms. And as Amy mentioned, it's something that came to me to start through a family lived experience with all of the stress going through a family member's estate and all the grief and heartache that process has, and started NEMU just to make that process more of a celebration, which can really be started proactively, but still done in times of transition. And so really excited to share more about it, but also, some of the things that I've seen in the families we've helped, just to help the the folks on the call kind of gain that perspective and start thinking about what they can do now.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm so blown away with what you do. We met at a convention and I was really impressed with what NUMU does. So I'm excited to hear more. And Aimee, if you'd like to close us out.
Sure. My name is Aimee Yawnick. I am a certified conscious dying coach and educator and a certified sacred passage end-of-life doula. Basically, what I do is I help educate people on things that happen at the end of life and help people get more prepared for end of life, share the information that's most important to them with their loved ones, and to educate our community and initiate conversations about death and dying, to take the fear away and to help neutralize the anxiety around the conversation.
Such beautiful and important work. I have kind of a motto I live by, especially with helping people with funerals and pre-planning. And it's that when logistics and organizational things are taken care of, it frees the part of the brain that can now embrace either the current, grief or embracing of ritual that happens, can also free the side of the brain that can think about maybe the personal creative elements that you might want to weave into honoring someone's life later down the road, or even for yourself. There can be some euphoria found in getting to a point in planning where it becomes almost like a gift that you want to leave for your family to help not just honor you, but to bond everyone and bring them comfort. It's such a beautiful thing that can be opened up when you remove the stress and the expectations around the planning and the logistics when nobody talks about it, which is why we're here today to talk about all of it. Any of these conversations that can be started when families are sitting around, it actually goes better than most people are anxious about them going. So what our plan is for today, I have a couple of questions that I'm going to pose and give everyone some time to answer. And then we will open it up to questions and answers, either from the people that are joining us, or we can ask questions of each other. Hey, we're all here, So the first question I want to pose is geared towards Aimee and Joseph, Attorney DeMello. What are areas that you feel clients have most resources for or are already most prepared with? Why don't we start with you, Attorney DeMello?
Well, what they're most prepared with is knowing that they need legal documents. However, they never, quote, get around to it. So it's so common. It's very rare that I speak to clients that don't understand that they really need to facilitate the transfer of their assets to their children. I like to say that, you certainly should have hard thoughts about that when you're 60 years old. There's no magic age, but certainly as we grow older, it's more important. And at that point, financial security is already, you're already thinking of that, and passing on to a future generation is real, even though longevity is greater. So I say they're all prepared in a way that they know they need something. They just don't know what direction should they go in terms of how to protect assets or transfer assets.
Very good. Sarah, do you have any thoughts? Oh, I was going to Aimee.
Okay.
You.
I agree. I agree that most people know what they should be doing, the documents that they should have in a safe place. I think there's a lot of resources out there. It's just a matter of helping people to find them and to find the things that resonate most with them. So in the world of, resources, we have the resources. We just need to connect the people, get them in the right mindset so that they're willing to do the work, to work with an attorney or work with an end-of-life doula and get everything completed, get all those documents in a safe place, share with their families what they've completed. And then, like you said, there's this sense of completion, and they can focus on what's really important, like relationships and the grieving process and the soft stuff.
Absolutely.
Aimee,
And I think
Oh,
Sorry, go right ahead.
If I may interject, but other Amy, I mean, I think that's so interesting what you touched on. And I think going on to what Attorney DeMello mentioned, in the next 25 years, $70 trillion worth of assets are passing between generations. And that's not going to be a simple process. And that's not even counting the emotional process that goes hand in hand with that kind of more tangible exchange. But Amy, I'm so curious, you mentioned the right mindset people need to be in to kind of start this process of getting organized and getting their things in order so that that whole exchange is easier. When do you see, I'm just so curious, when do you see your clients getting to that point where they're ready to activate?
I don't think they could ever qualify as being ready, until they're forced into it because of a crisis. Like, some major medical event happened and now they're forced into having to get this work done. I don't think we're ever really ready. I think we have to be open and willing to have the conversations and then find the right kind of person who can guide them through the steps, because it's overwhelming what we need to do. Like when you see all the things, not just the legal part of it, the practical things. What am I going to do? What do we do with the physical body after death? How do we celebrate the life? Is it a traditional funeral, or do we do something at home, or do we have a life celebration? So it's the educational part of it that's really important, because then people can have an understanding of how many options are out there. And then it kind of brings down the overwhelm, and they can take it one piece at a time if they have the right person guiding them through it.
I also like what Attorney DeMello brought up, that concept of everyone kind of knows an idea of what they want, but don't actually go about, making the appointment, getting things in writing, getting things done. That dynamic also includes, because I agree, a lot of people know which funeral home they're using. They know which cemetery their family goes to, but actually sitting down and putting it in writing is one thing. The other dynamic is actually communicating it. How many spouses have their own idea of what they want, but probably have not actually shared that information with their spouse? A lot of families, mothers, daughters, siblings, we tend to assume that everyone that knows and loves us knows what our wishes are, and with things like knows where all our documents are, knows, we should all just know who grandma wanted the collection of Beanie Babies to go to. Unless things are documented and communicated, the family and the person, they don't get to reap the benefits of things being organized and communicated, and the pressure that gets released when that happens. So I think that's a big part of it. And the more people can talk and communicate about wanting to get their wishes in writing, you should be going to see a lawyer or a funeral home or a doula with a family member. You should include them in this process and not just keep it all on your own shoulders.
Exactly. I mean, especially as people get elderly, they tend to keep things from their children, more secretive about things. Some ethnic groups more than others, but generally they want to have that independence. But at a certain time, your children should be involved. And sometimes it's up to the children really to ask. I have a situation right now in the office where, parents had a house in southeastern Mass and then purchased a house in Florida, and one of them has early onset dementia, only 74 years old, but they have nothing done now because that person who has dementia, they can't even do a power of attorney. So it's different. Was somebody interrupting, or was that I heard some type of feedback? Don't know. So, the kids need to, if the parents don't ask, they need to address and say, Mom, Dad, maybe we should do something. Maybe we should go someplace and do something, see an attorney, because they don't have the documents, or do some prepaid arrangements. They don't always do that on their own.
And speaking to the mindset too, I think a lot of parents, elderly parents, they don't want to be a burden So they don't want to, stress their kids, their family out with this information. But what they don't understand is that the real burden is after they die, if they haven't shared what their wishes are, or they haven't done the organizing of documents and heirlooms and, all the things that they're leaving behind. Now the kids are in this mess of trying to figure everything out. That's where the burden comes in, where they should be just putting their time and energy into grieving and being with family. So being a burden, it's not what they think it is. Doing this work is what can, create more peace.
And so Aimee dropped, oh, sorry, Attorney DeMello, did you have something to add to that?
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead,
Okay.
Sarah.
Aimee, it looks like Aimee dropped, maybe she had some Wi-Fi issues, but I will follow up with another question. Going off of, we're talking a little bit about some of the problems that we see in our kind of day-to-day business that pop up because of, this maybe particularly when folks don't plan, but a lot of our time is also spent helping them plan. And what areas in particular do you think folks should focus on first? I mean, Attorney DeMello, I'll move to you, and then Aimee, and I'll weigh in as well. But I'm just curious, kind of what are the first steps for folks on the call, maybe just starting this process?
Well, the first steps is first identifying your assets that you have. But, the majority of families that I see have, a home, and they may have a 401k or an IRA, things of that nature. So one of the very first things is to get them a basic will or a trust. You can look at trust in terms of a revocable trust, just to make sure assets pass without probate, which is very expensive here in Massachusetts. And then you work on to other documents like a power of attorney. In that situation I just mentioned, a power of attorney, which is a legal document, usually less than $400 for a couple, would have saved a tremendous expense now of a guardianship, because one of the parents has developed Alzheimer's, the early dementia, and can't really sign. So it's not the cost, it's just getting to the office. Once they get to the office and discuss it, I don't know about how you feel, Aimee, but they're open. It's just that it's a matter of something that they're going to get to it, but they never quite do. But once they do, we do that for them. And then if they want to do more detailed planning in terms of asset protection, then we look at that as well.
I am so sorry for my digital hiccup. My whole network just went down.
Terrible
I
timing.
thought I was ahead. I've been plugged in. I'm like, there's no way Wi-Fi is gonna get in my way. And Comcast found another way.
Well, Aimee, we moved on to the second question, and Aimee Yawnick was just also going to reply. So you get settled, and then you can take back over.
I agree with Attorney DeMello about the legal documents. They're very important. And I think the conversations with family are equally as important, so that everybody is on the same page, understanding exactly what your end of life wishes are. And if you get to a point in your either disease diagnosis, old age, where you cannot communicate for yourself, you can't share what your wishes are, it's really important that you have had those conversations with your loved ones so that they can relay those wishes to your care team. I can't imagine anything worse than, just being unable to share your wishes with somebody and then having something happen that is completely against your wishes. Yeah. I think we should, have that agency at all stages of our lives. So having conversations with our families, with our healthcare agents, with our care team, filling out the proper documentation, I think they go hand in hand.
Really interesting. I think, kind of echoing, I completely agree with you both. So from my view or corner of the world, with working with families who are, starting to go through the stuff in their house and what it means to them, I think it also starts with, okay, what's you know, the foundation, it can be what's in the will or trust, and, you know, what's already set aside, and that kind of dictates, or has a trickle down effect with the work that I do with clients or families. And I think going off of Aimee, what you were saying, what I often see is, you know, when families are able to have the paperwork and documentation in place, then they're able to kind of welcome this emotional part of, you know, transitions, whether that's downsizing or somebody passing. And that's important too, to carry on your legacy, I think, where, you know, family members and next generation want to know the stories behind things, or the stories of your life, so that they can then pass those down on. And when there's no room for that for the family, it's lost, which I think is a real tragedy as well.
Absolutely. To kind of expand on that, I think our digital age kind of helps in unique ways that I could have never predicted. I don't know if people know this. It's pretty common that people have slideshows at funerals where they share pictures of themselves and their family members, and it's beautiful. And it's something that, you know, you revisit. Like, I watch on every anniversary of my family members' deaths. Usually I watch the slideshow again with my children, and I feel like my kids know, like, my grandfather more than they could have ever known if I didn't have that, because he was really, really old and they were very young when he passed away. But what I wanted to say was, we're noticing people sharing photos with me for slideshows at funerals that are photos of heirlooms, photos of, you know, notes. And it comes from the fact that around a death, some family members are together, they're going through pictures ahead of time, but they're also finding, oh my goodness, she saved this note from my teacher in second grade. Or this is the vase that she always had on her table that was cracked, but everyone made a joke of it every year. So including these things in the slideshow and just sharing them at the time when the death happens becomes this new element of preserving memories. And it helps us from clutter. You know, it's easier to discard something that might not have any value, or you might just not have the space for, by taking good pictures of it and then being able to share it in a different way. So I wanted to bring that up as part of the, you know, mindset as we go into organizing our stuff and planning.
Thanks. And Aimee, that's a great plug for NEMU, because we help families start that cataloging process, and you can record voice notes about the stories with items, so that, you know, your family members and next of kin can keep those forever. So it's a nice tee up that
Absolutely. And I was going to ask Aimee if she sees that as an integral part of her work, because I know most hospice nurses I talk to, most people and families that go through, you know, sitting vigil and being with their loved one for days at a time. There's just beautiful stories and things that come up. And I don't know, I wanted to know what Aimee's take was on those things.
Yeah, lots of great stories, as long as the person is verbal. So that's why I try to get to people as early as possible, so that you can think about what you want your legacy to be, and what are some of the ways that you can reach into your loved ones' lives after you're gone to continue to be a part of them. Letters, videos, scrapbooks, recipe books. I've had a client create a skirt out of her deceased dad's ties. So there's a lot of very creative ways to keep yourself, your loved ones alive in your family over the years. And it doesn't have to wait until somebody's on their deathbed. You can start thinking about that now. What do you want your legacy to look like?
Absolutely. I just saw someone yesterday share on Facebook that they made a tree, like a Christmas tree decoration with, you know, the styrofoam cones that you can get. And they took their mother's costume jewelry and glued it to this tree and made this gorgeous tree with all of the costume jewelry that, you know, you might not get to wear in a lifetime, even if you like jewelry. So just different ways that you can preserve things is just beautiful.
And keeping the stories going, especially this time of year, doing things, creative things like that keep your deceased loved ones in the room with you,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
celebration, because you're all thinking about that person anyway. And people might be scared, I better not bring up their name, because then that will create, more grief. But no, we're already thinking about them. We already feel their absence. So how can we bring them more into the room, into the space, into the celebration?
100%, 100%. The next question we have is, what can people do now to reduce the burden on the next of kin? And I wanted to start with Attorney DeMello and also see if Attorney DeMello can explain to the people what next of kin means. I think a lot of people don't know, if they don't have things in place, what is the default? Who is in charge?
Right. Well, in Massachusetts, next of kin, first of all, would be the spouse, and then the children. So that's the closest heirs that you have in Massachusetts would be that. And many is a good question, Amy, because many people don't realize, even if you do a will with an attorney and we have trust in that, you prepare yourself. Usually the attorney is not the first person that's going to know about your demise. Your passing. So you always want to make sure that your child or whomever knows the immediate funeral instructions, or if hopefully you have a prepaid arrangement done, which saves not only the children from grief at that time, but the uncertainty. You want to make sure that. So as attorneys, I always like to remind people is first of all, let your children know that you have these documents. If you don't want to show them now, which some people don't, make sure that they know where they are in your closet, in your strong box. Make sure it's a fireproof box. Doesn't have to be theft proof. No one wants to steal people's will, but you do want to have it protected from fire. And so that's what we want to make sure a priority is. They know, and they know all their relatives. The case that I have sometimes more difficult to explain is people who have no children. Usually the elderly brothers, the brothers and sister siblings are older, so that we try to get a better idea of who their relatives are. And I definitely want to make sure, and I remind them to make sure their niece or their nephew or whomever knows exactly what they want for arrangements, even where to call, because they may have the arrangements prepaid, but they don't even know where to call. So that's something we do.
Absolutely. And I wanted to add too, because we talked a little earlier of that same kind of dynamic, that I want to say that people that assume, or the cultural feeling that burdening someone is telling them about things. I think generationally and culturally in this area, there were a lot of people that felt the best way they could relieve burden was to take care of everything and not tell them about it. And it was all well intended. People figured, I'll organize it and I don't want to burden them with the knowledge of it. And I think that is a cultural thing that is diminishing, but I think that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah. We
just see that a lot.
Well, I also think that, with grief, I think what Aimee Yawnick's work does is help you look it in the eye, but a lot of people turn their head to it. And so they don't share the wisdom that they've gained when they've gone through a loved one's loss. And I think what I see with some of the families that we work with is kind of going off of what Attorney DeMello mentioned, is when you're not clear on like who is doing what, whether it's things on the financial side or the medical side, or even like who's going to go through the house. It then, when you have multiple family members who have different ideas of how things should go, can put a lot of stress on those relationships. So clear is kind is what I like to say too.
Yes.
I love
clear,
that. Clear
organized.
is kind.
And I think
Yeah.
organize is just the key to everything when it comes to physical things and your documents. I had a family a couple years ago that I thought had a brilliant plan. He created an email account that was called My Important Stuff at, whatever.com. And he gave the family the access to that email account. And what he did was, throughout the years, he sent any important documents to that account. so that when anyone needed it and they signed into that account, they had a collection of all his important documents and notes and, you know, directives all in this email. I thought it was rather brilliant.
That's clear and super organized.
We
Yes.
do something like that in the work that I do. Some people call it in case of death file. Some people get really creative and they decorate a
Mhm.
box and they put all their things in there. But yeah, I think it does the family. It's a gift to the family to get all this stuff done ahead of time. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Maybe you revisit it with, you know, something that happens, something that changes in life, or every 5 years, you just revisit everything. But if you get it done now, it gives not only you this sense of inner peace, it also helps your family to feel less stressed about what will I need to do when the time comes.
Right. It's all the questions. I help people, as I said before, with pre-planning funeral arrangements, and it's a multifaceted process, but the simple elements are we sit down and we get wishes on paper, whether it's one, some people come in and they know every strict plan that they want down to who seats where in the church and who drives what cars. But just getting a plan on paper, knowing, hey, do you want to go to church? Do you want to have service in the funeral home? Do you want to have burial or cremation, a service before or a burial after? There are so many different options. And one of the most overwhelming things that we see families go through is that question. When there isn't a plan in place, they are burdened by wondering, what would mom have wanted? They're trying to guess that before even thinking about their needs. You know, what does our family need for this service and for this comfort and the logistics around the fact that we live all over the country? There are so many questions that come into play, but the biggest one is not wanting to upset the person that died by picking the wrong thing. So when you pre-plan a funeral, you take care of that question. The other thing a lot of people don't think about is when you pre-plan a funeral, you give a lot of information to the funeral director. You pretty much want to have it so that if, you know, by the horrible timing of everything, your whole family's on a cruise and you happen to pass away, the funeral home will be able to get all the logistics needed to get in touch with your family and work around their needs. So a lot of the information we need when someone passes away to move forward with anything are very vital lists of information, like parents' names, where they were born, social security numbers, you know, a lot of things that most people don't really know. I still, after 20 years, cannot remember my husband's entire social security number. I just can't. So having that already at the funeral home, I always like to say it saves your family from playing Jeopardy. It saves all your children from competing on who knows what and who doesn't know what and trying to figure out where to get this information. The third thing is cost, is having some money put aside and protected, so you're removing that burden as well financially. When things happen unexpectedly, it's a big burden for families to have to pull together and figure out how to get everything paid for, not even just the funeral arrangements. Last minute flights are almost 3 times the normal fare if you're booking something last minute. So there are so many things involved that are made easier and smoother when you're able to plan ahead. And the other thing I wanted to mention was sometimes families give us 3 or 4 scenarios, and they have us write in our plans that they want their family to decide between these 3 or 4 scenarios. They give them permission to add whatever they need. So yeah, so with pre-planning a funeral, there's a lot of that burden that can be removed in so many different ways.
And when a family knows that they're fulfilling their loved one's wishes, it makes them feel more connected to that person. Like they're, you know, they're completing these final wishes. It's this final act of love.
Yeah.
And it's nice too when people pre-plan and they get the logistics out of the way, maybe a year later, a lot of families will send us a written out obituary. Like they'll send us the catalog of all of their achievements that they're proud of, the actual years that they went to school, things that most family members don't realize they don't actually know the bullet points of. So being able to not only tell a family, hey, you know, mom already wrote her obituary, or she gave us this list, that's another huge burden that nobody even thinks they need to catalog. I'm sorry, I think I cut you off. Sarah, were you going to say something?
No, I'm just nodding my head in agreement with all of you. So
I mean, as with anything in life, planning always makes something better. It may not make everything perfect. You can never predict the future, but at least having something in writing, something in place. I'm sure Attorney DeMello can talk about how many people are rushing last minute when they're forced to set up power of attorneys or healthcare proxies. All of these things that can kind of be done ahead of time in a much simpler way.
Right. Even that, I mean, it's stress on them. When can they get out of work, or they may be somebody going to the hospital, someone, it can't get there, or the times are not convenient. It's they need to, especially if you're over 60, I say, not that that's old by any stretch of the imagination. That's young for me. But you need to take the time and start at least a framework. You may not do everything. You come and see me today and you're a business person and you have various investments, then you may not yet be planning on more end of life or asset transfers this early, but you certainly should have in place things like powers of attorney and things of that nature to facilitate something that's completely unexpected, like a stroke or something of that nature, that at least will not stymie the business or whatever you have. Because I know that we're all talking about the end of life things, but some people just don't want to get themselves to think of it because it is not the happiest moment. But I think that, Aimee Yawnick could probably tell us that these are things that it's real. All of you deal with it more almost than me, because I'm more broader in terms of why we do things.
Right.
But those decisions need to be made, and taking them away from doubt of family, indecisiveness. I know that I see clients on occasion, they bring their children, not often, and I always encourage that. Certain children are more decisive than others, and you want to make sure that it's a joint effort, but sometimes you just need someone to make the decision that has to be made.
Absolutely. And I feel like when families include other family members in this planning, it gives the family members the opportunity to see how this all works and to be able to play to their strengths. When families sit with me and see that, oh, a lot of paperwork's involved with this, one of them will speak up and be like, you know what? I am just the better one with paperwork. Why don't we leave the selections and the music and the creative stuff to my sister Mary? These are conversations and roles that get assigned that are priceless later down the road. And I also want to say, I've never, ever, I get tons of feedback from pre-arrangements, from funerals. Not once in 20 years of helping families have I gotten a letter or feedback that someone regrets pre-planning or doing anything ahead of time. So that's another thing to think about, that anxiety and superstition sometimes is what keeps people from making the appointment, or from coming into the funeral home, or for going to the lawyer's office, or for having any type of conversation where things get started. It's anxiety and superstition that usually keeps them from doing it. But it's one of those things that once the process starts and people realize that lawyers, funeral directors, we're here to adapt to your needs. None of this is ever pressured. 100% of this process goes by your comfort and your situation and your needs. So I wanted to bring that up too, as to why I think most people avoid it for a while.
And I understand where Attorney DeMello is, saying, you're 60 or older, definitely get this done. And I agree with that. And there are other conversations that you and your family would benefit at every age. When you're an adult, even children, obviously, but anything can happen at any time. None of us are guaranteed, as we talk about it, the next day, we're not guaranteed anything. So the the faster we have these conversations, the earlier we have these conversations, learning about ourselves, learning about our wishes. How do we want our physical body to be taken care of? What kind of emotional needs do we have? What kind of relationship needs do we have? How do we clean things up so that if something did happen and all of a sudden I've got my death date and it's getting close, a lot of that work has already been done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't put it off, do things now. Now is the time to get this stuff done, whether it's the legal piece of it, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, or your legacy. Start getting clear and asking yourself these questions.
100%. And I saw in your bio too that you help people get organized. And I think it's worth bringing up, your situation at home. Decluttering and helping get things organized can serve a purpose later down the road. A lot of times out of unexpected situations, you might have to bring a hospital bed into your home for even a rehab situation, not even always necessarily a terminal situation. And the needs that puts on your house to be able to have everything organized and decluttered enough that you can bring the help that you might need to bring into your house. That is a huge asset later on that can be started very early.
And even conversations about, where do I want to have rehab? Like you said, bringing a hospital bed into the home. Does everybody realize that they can do that? If your medical team says you need to go to this facility, do you understand you can question that?
Yeah.
That you have rights, that you can, have an advocate to help you, that you don't just have to listen to what your medical team tells you. Those are a lot of options that you may or may not know you have.
Right.
And get harder when you're in the moment, maybe even sad about what's going on to your own life. And then it becomes even harder to really say with certainty what you want and claiming what you want.
And I think the amazing thing is when people start having these conversations in little ways, whether the conversation starts from a legal place or a funeral place or a health place, it usually will naturally lead to all of these questions. And the bigger the family, the more perceptions that you're going to have. And you might have one kid that is focused on asking the questions about final wishes, but you might have another kid that's like, okay, wait a minute. We all live around the country. Which nursing home would you want to go to? If you had to live with any of us, who would you live with? These conversations starting is the key, and where they end up going once you open that door can cover all of these things naturally.
Correct.
You just don't want to have them in the crisis.
Yeah.
The key is to do it when you're not in crisis.
And if you have to have them in crisis, then it helps to slow down. Most families in an at-need situation, we get the call, there's been an unexpected death. One of the first things we say to the person that's calling, like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what's next, is we let them know, here are the most important things you need to think of. But other than that, breathe. When's the last time you've eaten? I'm sure you guys have been up all night. There is no need to expect yourself to stress unless you have to. So take some time. When is everyone getting into town? Make sure you have some time together before you come to the funeral home. And hey, if food and possibly alcohol could be involved, let these conversations happen. Here's a list of things you should bring up. There are different ways that we can definitely help in crisis situations. But again, if things can be talked about ahead of time, it's going to help those crisis conversations be a lot more organized and be given a roadmap. It's priceless to just have a roadmap. And I want to make sure that I mention that funeral plans can also be completely non-funded. Some families, they already have insurances in place, and financially pre-planning isn't really their focus. They just want the roadmap. They want the paperwork, they want the information given, and the roadmap of services for their families. So yeah, I wanted to bring that up. And I think we have 2 more questions. So this is geared towards Sarah and Joseph. What does it look like for the next of kin when parts of the estate plan are missed?
Yeah, I'm happy. Do you want to go, Attorney DeMello?
Hopefully it took good preparation so they weren't missed. That does happen. You have to deal. It depends what it is. If it's an asset or not, usually legal documents are broad enough to encompass assets that may not have been specifically given. Most wills, trusts like we have, it just has a generic phrase of all assets, so you don't get bogged down in that specifics. I think it's more like Sarah might have more issues. What we have more issues if it is specific items, heirlooms, coin collection, this, that, and other thing that aren't mentioned, or that's where it becomes more difficult. But in those cases, there is usually a provision that the personal representative or executor, as they used to be called, is going to make that distribution as evenly as he or she can.
Yeah,
But
no. Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, what we often see is no proactive planning had been done, and no, conversations with the family members about who they want in charge, or, run of show, if you will. But the thing that we then end up seeing is this mixture of family members trying to organize themselves in terms of who's going to do what, and how, and what kind of commitment does that look like from everybody. Everyone typically has other things going on in their lives too. And that can bubble up tension amongst relationships, but then also, timelines is how quickly do things need to close out, or do we need to get out of the house? And then what does that look like for everyone pulling together? Is one person doing the work? Which, that can create some interpersonal friction that is on top of stuff that might already be there. Or even for really healthy families and family relationships, it can kind of percolate new issues on top of, this grieving process. And so, when there is kind of this clear roadmap for people, it really opens up the opportunity for your loved ones to go through this major milestone with more grace and honoring the love, you or whoever has passed, really honoring that process and being able to grieve through it. And so that's one thing we try to help families with, is that roadmap of what's been left behind physically. And there's often a lot of emotional attachment to that. And especially when things whittle down to things that are seemingly insignificant, when it's the last thing, in the house of mom and dad's that they've been there for 50 years, it becomes really hard to go through that. And especially so when there's no structure in place.
Absolutely. And I'm sure people use NEMU in this instance as well. Beyond the scope, we're talking about, unexpected situations or death situations. But there's also the situation where people are kind of forced to downsize,
Absolutely.
usually without a lot of warning.
Yes.
And when that is a rushed process, so many things might be thrown out or given away that could have been organized or preserved in different ways. So I want people to know that having to downsize from a family home you've had in your family for 60 years to having to go into an assisted living, it's not just downsizing, but it's prioritizing, what are gonna make you the most comfortable in your new situation as well.
Absolutely. And, when folks use NEMU for downsizing, it also helps mom and dad realize, okay, these are the things we should take with us, and these are the things we can shed with confidence because nobody wants. Or it can be kind of this record of truth that siblings have of, okay, this is what everybody had voiced that they did want at this point in time. And, then down the road when things are kind of reevaluated, it's something to fall back on.
Absolutely. Did anyone else have any thoughts on this?
I think we have a question from the chat.
I think I did see a question pop up. So what's the question?
So it says, what is your best, it's from Stephanie. So hi, Stephanie. What is your best advice for adult children whose parents are very closed off to discussing end of life arrangements? They say it's all taken care of and all written down somewhere, but you don't even know where. How would you advise us to be able to get the parents to be more open to discussing these issues?
That's a very good
Aimee Yawnick
question.
might be a good one for that.
That's
Yes.
Amy's dealt with that often.
It has to be a really honest and vulnerable conversation. You just have to put it out on the table and say, you know, I can understand that you don't want this to burden us, but the real burden is in not knowing. You know, if something were to happen and you weren't able to speak and share with us where all your documents are or what your wishes are, or to clarify something that we aren't clear about in your documentation, we need to understand specifically what you want. So please, this is important to us. We need you to respect that. And please, let's have this conversation. I know it's hard, but it's important. You know, when you're looking at adult children, you know, the parents have been, you know, now your roles are reversed.
Right.
And it's hard for a parent to have a hard conversation with a child at any age, but they do it. They do the hard things. And now you're being asked to have a hard conversation with your parents. So you have to be brave. You really have to dig deep and just have a hard conversation, and don't let them up. Make sure that they give you the answers that you're looking for so that you feel at peace about their wishes and that you feel confident that you can follow through with them.
Ideally, I've had that situation, and what I tell the children is try to get a couple of the children, not just one. If there's a couple, it's better because the parents tend to think, oh my goodness, I'm not even deceased, and you're already thinking what you're going to inherit. That's sometimes something that's real, and I've seen that, and parents tell me sometimes, you know, well, you know, do I have to show this to my children? Well, certainly if it's equal shares, it's usually not an issue. It's when it's unequal. You know, I always tell them that someone needs to know, okay? You know, it's a decision you're making. It's your asset. You do what you want. Even if it's not equally distributed, there's always a reason why it's not equally distributed. You may want to share it, but if you don't, at least let one person know, but don't hide it in that strong box so no one even knows if it's there. The other thing I find is when people get older, memory loss and early dementia, not full, they go and look at the documents and they don't know where they put them back. They don't know. And so if the children don't even know what attorney law firm has done the documents, they know nothing of where it is. I have situations where that happens more often than not. They take it from the will envelope, stick it in another envelope, stick it someplace else, and then you come, you know, you see a power of attorney that's not complete or pages are missing. We try to staple everything. So you just don't know why it happens, but it happens. It may have been a good reason, but they don't put it back, and that can cause issues as well. So
Right.
I would also.
I agree with Amy. You got to be a little forceful. It's not going to happen just cajoling. Up to a point it will, but you got to bring it across.
And be curious about what they're so afraid of. I mean, there's a reason why they don't want to talk about it. So get curious, be open to hearing, you know, what the real reason behind them not wanting to talk about this is. Right. You know, I mean, as we're looking at our parents now, right? 70s, 80s, 90s, they probably didn't have a lot of conversations about end of life in their families. So generationally, this wasn't something that was openly talked about. So it just might be very uncomfortable for them. They're not used to this. They have no history of talking about this. So you being that person will be a gift to everybody, but help them, you know, get clear about why they're so blocked around this conversation.
I agree with that being really important. Because sometimes the core of what their hesitation is might surprise you. It might be that some people just might have anxiety about the confrontation of it all. Like the thought of sitting at a table with 5 of their children, they'd worry that it would be a fight or something that they won't be able to control. There was one family that had a genius way around that, where they set up a scanning party. She knew that all the kids would be coming to the house to scan photos and to scan documents, so that everyone would have important documents and important photos. So she was less hesitant to kind of naturally talk about these things, because the vehicle of the gathering wasn't, we're going to confront you with topics that you're not comfortable hearing our thoughts on, you know. There was another family I thought that had a genius idea, where all the children, the adult children, lived all over the country. None of them lived locally. So the oldest decided to send a group email, and they did 20 questions. Each child was able to write out 20 questions that the mom could fill out. And she loved typing questionnaires. She was like the one that did magazine quizzes all the time. So they kind of geared towards that strength with her. And from that, they have this documented email chain, and they weren't all heavy questions. Some of it was like, who was your first boyfriend? Like, where did the first date happen? You know, like getting clarification on story, as well as what do you want for your funeral? What cemetery? Do we have family plots? Where is everyone buried? So whatever the vehicle you're gonna create this conversation for, I think it is key to kind of find the core of whatever anxiety might be there. The other thing I find with hesitating on planning funerals is some people just don't physically, the thought of physically coming into the funeral home is the anxiety. They feel like that is too much. So knowing that I could come to them, or that we could meet in an informal place, we wouldn't know that if the children didn't find that core of the anxiety and find a different way to work on it. So yeah, open-mindedness is very key in all of this too. Did we have any other questions that came up?
I don't see any, but if folks, participants have any more questions, feel free to just jump on and share, or put them in the chat, or we can, I know that we're at the hour, so we can also wrap things up so folks can get back to their afternoons as well.
Absolutely. So I'm going to invite everyone to share some last comments and whatever contact information you'd like us to share, so people can follow up with you. So Sarah, if you wanted to start.
Yeah, no, this has been super fun. I'm glad everyone was able to make it, and just hearing other perspectives in the space has been really informative. I welcome anybody to reach out if they're interested in getting started with, really a big but can be fun step of just taking pictures and cataloging stories about what's inside your house, so that you can preserve that legacy for your next generation. Or if you're going through the process of downsizing and clearing out a house, would love to chat about how to help you through that process. And you can reach me at Sarah, SARAH, at mynemu.com. Or visit the website at mynemu.com.
Attorney DeMello, would you like to go next?
Yes, first of all, thank you for having, I've got to say, it's been informational to me as well. I tend to look at things more documentary, not so much emotionally, but these of course, there are emotional decisions with this. Just remind everyone, don't put it off much more. When you're 60, make it a point that you're going to see an attorney. Get something in place, even if it's an outline or a framework, do that and get it. I can be reached by any one of my offices, Taunton, Fall River, New Bedford, calling or email. My name, Joseph DeMello, DeMello, and or call Silver Funeral Home. They have my number, so so that's something as well. We've worked together many times in the past. And Aimee is right. I have known her for a long time. Okay. Nice to see you all. Have a nice holiday season.
Thank you. And Aimee, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the invitation to be a part of this panel. I think this information is very important. If anyone is interested in doing a lot more work in this area, I have a workshop called What Matters Most, and we dig into all the different areas of life and get clear about end of life wishes, and then help you to have the conversations with your loved ones. So you can check that out at leavinginlove.com.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you, Amy, for being here. I definitely want to digest so much more of what you do. And I think it's so important for people not just to get things and funeral plans in place, but some people might be struggling with there's just grudges and things that happen within families and regrets that people have. And as one last question, I wanted to ask Amy if you've helped people with those conversations, like the emotional things that they want to kind of organize and face before they
Yeah, so
pass away.
the workshop is separated into 5 different areas, and one of those areas is the emotional domain. And within that domain, we look at our relationships and what would need to be cleaned up if you found out that you had a limited period of time to live, and how would you go about doing that and with whom. And sometimes it's the relationship with yourself that needs to be cleaned up. But yeah, the people who are closest in our lives oftentimes are the people that we have, the most discord with. And if we're going to die really soon, what do we want to do to clean that up, if anything?
Such important work. So my final thoughts are really everything that was said. I could not be happier with this group of panelists and this conversation that we've had. I think it's all such important topics and things that even if people don't take the step to really put anything in writing or make a phone call today, I feel like anyone that is watching at least has planted a seed to just have that conversation. Conversations are key. When there isn't communication amongst a family, there is defensiveness, there is resentment, and there is no roadmap. So the conversations are where everything starts, whether it's just with your spouse or with your children. I hope that from this, we spark some conversations. Yeah, I'm always available. I help people over the phone, over email. Like I've said, we can meet at the funeral home. I come to nursing homes, hospitals, places where people are living, assisted livings, even restaurants. So anything that your needs are, your comfort level or your anxieties are, share them and I will adapt and work around them. I love helping people with the pre-planning because in the long term, I know that it's going to help when your family's sitting across from me. They're not going to feel as stressed and weighed down. The one thing I want to mention about a dynamic I see with at-need clients when plans aren't put in place is it's almost like a physical heaviness. Every decision that they have to make, whether small or large, feels like an added weight. You can just see people heavy weighted down by this. And as much as you can relieve any of those things, whether it's funding, planning the funeral, or just getting the information down on paper so no one has to find your social security number, it's going to relieve that burden and that weight from families. So you can reach me at silvafuneralhome.com, and that's SILVA, the Portuguese Smith last name, pretty much. I'm here in Taunton at 80 Broadway. Our phone number is 508-822-0081. And my email is Aimee, A-M-Y, at silvafuneralhome.com. I'm also on TikTok. I am the Funeral Lady. That is my TikTok handle. It's the @ symbol. FUNERALADY. And I try to hop on and share little snippets of information in an informal way, kind of like we did today. So I hope that people have conversations. I hope that people embrace whatever they need to embrace this season. And thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone that has joined us.
Awesome. I think, Amy, are you still there?
Yes. I
Cool,
wasn't
I
sure how to end.
I can end it and then I'll cut the video. I think it went great. I realized I had the speaker view, so every time anybody talked, it was like this nice big image view, but not for me. So I don't know if I can extract any like great clips from it, but I thought it went really well, and hopefully the folks on the call benefited from it. So thank you so much. You did
Awesome,
great.
awesome.
You did really great.
Thank you. I'm so sorry about that. I was like, of course, this is gonna happen.
That's happened to me too in big moments,
Oh,
but it was fine. I just said, oh, Amy's off. Let's move on to the next.
Amy's frozen.
Yeah, you just dropped from the call and then we moved to the next question.
Yeah.
It was totally fine. So
Awesome, awesome.
no glitches. Yeah, I thought it went well, and love to keep the conversation going too on seeing if we can do more of
Totally.
these or partnering in different ways. So love testing these
Yeah.
things out.
Awesome. And are we friends on Facebook? Are you on Facebook?
I am not huge. I am trying to get more into Facebook.
Okay.
But we should be friends on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to figure out which platforms I can focus on to have more events that might
I thought-
remove the legwork. You know what I mean?
I thought that was a great point. It was like, duh. I think Facebook is probably the best one.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where the audience would be, mainly.
Totally. I mean,
So-
there's a huge audience on TikTok for live footage, but it's not. I mean, I don't know everything about TikTok yet. I know more about Facebook. It just doesn't seem like there's as many logistics you can include in a live feed. I feel like TikTok would be better for clips and things to run. But Facebook, if there's a way to have panel conversations in live, I think it would be huge.
yeah, let me know.
I'm gonna start playing with it, so we'll see.
Yeah, let me know what your marketing company says.
Yeah, awesome. And I definitely want to include Everly in some talks too. I think that the grief support, I keep checking out their library and I'm really blown away.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've been searching for a yoga library like that is that fine tuned to my needs. And I haven't found it, but Everly found it for grief. I'm blown away. So I'm excited. I'm glad that we did this.
Me too.
And
so I'll get the recording to you, and have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll be in touch.
You too. Happy Seattle. Someday I'll be there. I have a cousin that lives in Seattle. So it's on my list of places I need to visit.
Yeah, sounds good. Let me know.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.